Hey, everybody.
Well, hi there. We're talking from 6 feet away.
At least 6 feet away.
But we each have our own microphone.
You know, we could have just hung like one of the microphones out the window, although it's wet outside.
Yeah, then that doesn't accomplish anything. But
no.
Welcome to the new abnormal. Yeah, strange days indeed.
How's it going over in your neck of the woods?
My neck of the woods?
You got TP?
I got TP. You know,
Okay.
it's like, it's like in the old days, it's like, you got me? You know,
That's
today
when they were looking for pot.
You know, but today it's a totally different thing. You got any toilet paper?
Got any squares? Can you spare a square?
Anyway, it's crazy, but the thing is to just try and remain calm, try and just get all that distraction out of the brain. You know, once you slow down all that stuff, it's easier just to go inward and just remember that, hey, we've been through worse. You know, this, of course, could be the worst, but we don't know that yet. I mean, we survived 9/11. We survived earthquakes and all sorts of other things.
Tornadoes in Nashville.
Yeah. Fires and locusts and, you know,
Riots.
That's the thing that the riots. Yeah. We were on the front lines of that, man.
Oh my God. That was right around our building.
That was right around and then I remember the building next door to us catching on fire and then going out with a couple of engineers and just holding a spray hose on it, just trying to get that out. But, I know it's panic time for a lot of people, but try, if you really can kind of just center yourself, be calm. I always think of what happened when I was skydiving for the first time.
There was a second time?
No, there was only one time.
And what were you thinking then the first time?
I was doing it as a radio bit. What's it like to go skydiving? As a kid, I was like, you know, I always afraid of heights. So perfect idea. Go skydiving, get over your fear of heights.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I did that, learned, and went with a couple of people from the radio station at KZY. I met up with other people. You learn how to fall. You learn how to, you know, just do all sorts of things, you know, so you don't break your legs.
Roll, spin.
You do all that testing. And, you know, finally late afternoon, it was time to go up. And there was a writer who was with us, you know, who would ask weird things in class, like, well, what happens if you're out waiting on the plane and birds come up and bother you? And it's like, okay.
Bother them back.
You know, spit at him, poop on him, whatever. But anyway, he got really nervous and scared, and his tandem line, his ripcord was attached to the plane. So he kept on walking further and further out under the wing of the plane. And that opened a parachute. And the parachute wrapped around the tail end of the plane. And one of the last things that the pilot said that I heard was, if we tell you to put your head between your knees, kiss your ass goodbye. It's over.
My God.
I hear him say that. And, you know, I got to go out on the step. It's like, okay, Reed, you got to jump now. Okay. So I'm out there. Okay, I'm going to, and then all of a sudden they just dragged me back into the plane, and you've got like this 150 pound parachute on your back. So it's like if you're flat on your back and it's like trying to get up.
So you're like a turtle?
Yeah.
It's like, help me, Mr. Wizard.
And then all of a sudden, this calm just came over me and it said, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And then the next thing I knew, the plane crashed and everybody.
I'm sorry. We're like in a happy little elf story here.
Sorry.
And then we're leading up that everything's going to be calm.
Well,
and then by the way,
I'm here. And
by the way, the plane crashed.
Yeah, by the way, the plane crashed. So I was never able to go skydiving.
Oh,
let's do a show on skydiving. How about it, huh?
What? Can you maybe elaborate a little bit on this story?
Well, I elaborated all that I need to. I mean,
wait a minute. You're up. What, 2 miles?
We were at 3,000. 3,000.
Okay, so three-quarters of a mile up. You're talking about how you're being pulled back, and then the next thing is you're crashed. There's a section in between the being pulled back and the crash.
It just, yeah, you know.
Isn't it there the holy shit, we're going to die part?
No, I didn't have that. I had just, it's okay. You're going to be okay.
Where'd you crash into?
It was like a side of a hill. It
like
was
straight in?
Well,
or did you just kind of like...
The pilots were really, trained and talented.
Right, but so they kind of like...
The FAA was out there and they don't know how anybody survived that crash, so
but they're kind of like, you're slowly coming down.
No, you're not, because you have
You're not nosediving into
You have no control over the plane because his parachute is wrapped around the tail end of the plane. He can't maneuver the plane anymore. There's nothing he can do except try and just hold steady. Just try and hold steady. And
where's the guy that had the chute? Is he being dragged? Or did he get yanked back?
Well, no, he got to finally jump.
But without a parachute because it's wrapped around.
Yeah, but there was a tandem cord, so he actually got to go ahead and pull it, I think. How did that happen? I guess there was a double parachute. That's what it has. The first week they instituted double parachutes.
Jesus.
But I saw him on Jeopardy, like a couple of years later, and he's talking about this, and I went, that's the guy. That's the guy who said, do birds come up and bother you when you're jumping out of planes?
Well, I'm glad that you're okay, Reed.
Well, yeah, I'm glad. And a tape exists somewhere. Gary Johnson is the guy's name who has it, but I haven't seen him.
What, the tape of what?
Because we were recording it as a feature, as a news feature.
Oh, so there's like another plane that was following you guys?
No. There were people on the ground. There were 6 people in the plane. Oh. There were like the pilot, the co-pilot, the instructor, the photographer, and then the 3 of us that were jumping, the weird guy, Gary, and myself.
And what, did everybody survive?
Everybody survived.
No major injuries? You you didn't have a major injury, right?
Well, I pass it off.
Besides mentally?
I pass it off as hitting my head a little too hard or something. I don't know.
Holy shit. That's incredible.
I thought you knew that story.
Well, I knew parts of it. I mean, I think the last time you told me it was like, oh yeah, I was in a plane crash. And then I saw Bruce at the sports arena and it was really cool. And it was just kind of like, sort of passed over, but
okay. But yeah, it's like, when things like that happen, it sometimes can be in slow motion. So it's just like,
you think?
That's the thing that people have to remember, that, what we're going through right now is just slow motion, and we'll get through it. We'll get past it. Just wash your hands and just be kind. I think of all the good positives that can come out of this. Be kind to everybody.
And don't let your cord get caught on the back of the plane.
And if I say, put your head between your knees, just kiss your ass goodbye. I'm still standing.
Well, welcome to Rock and Roll Confessional. I know it took us about 20 minutes to get into it, but...
Hey, but that was a good confessional.
No, that was an incredible confessional. So.
I don't know about incredible, but yes, here we are.
It's good that you're alive to talk about it and be my partner in this
fun journey. One of my best friends.
Okay.
This show, we're talking with one of the founding members of the association, Russ Giguere. Yeah, just like that goalie for the Ducks, Giguere, getting jiggy with it. But before we tell you more, a bit of business.
Every episode, we want to thank our Patreon members. Yes, your contributions to this podcast make an incredible difference. This month, you helped out with our music licensing fees. Yep. Every time you hear that little snippet of music on our podcast, we get to pay for it. We appreciate everybody who has pledged. And as you know, this is not easy for us to ask, but $1 a month from you today will totally save this podcast. If you can help, please go to our support tab on our website and find the link to Patreon. Or just go to Patreon directly. It will take only 2 minutes away from your day.
We've had a lot of new reviews, and we thank everyone for leaving them. Please take another 2 minutes and leave a review on iTunes. It doesn't have to be long. Just a sentence or two on how you love us and how we're so kind of cool. And your review will help strengthen our chances to be seen in iTunes.
And if writing reviews isn't enough, we've got more.
More?
Yep. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your rock and roll confession. If you have a confession or story, which everyone does, just go to our contact page at rockandrollconfessional.rocks and send it in. I'm serious, baby. Send it in now because we want to hear them. We may do something really fun. We may not. We may do something really fun with them in the future.
We were invited 2 weeks ago to the house of Russ Giguere. Russ is one of the founding members of the association. They're known for such like great classic hits like
what?
Along Comes Mary. What a great song that was. Windy. Da, da, and you get to hear CW's Stupid Story. But
I was a little kid. I was 8 years old.
Russ appreciated it.
I listened to your story.
Cherish. Russ played rhythm guitar, sang, and played percussion. Russ has a new book called Along Comes the Association, Beyond Folk Rock and Three-Piece Suits. Russ talks about how the band started, not only playing at the Monterey Pop Festival, but seeing and meeting Jimi Hendrix there, being offered to join the Mothers of Invention by Frank Zappa, and secret places at Disneyland that he and the band would, you have to listen to the episode to find out fun stuff.
So please kick back in your chair and enjoy this amazing interview with Russ Giguere. All right, Reitz, you want to kick it off?
You go ahead, kick it off.
You kick it off. You're a better kicker.
No, I'm not. Yes, I am. So here we are with Russ. See, I messed up Russ.
Yeah, Russ.
Not Giguere, but Russ.
Russ, yeah.
The hard part's already done.
Giguere. Along Comes the Association, Beyond Folk Rock and Three-Piece Suits. It's a brand new book that'll be coming out. Just some great stories in here. But first, we start off every rock and roll podcast with a confession. Do you have a confession?
Yeah, I don't smoke as much pot as I used to. I confess. I used to smoke it every day, and now if I do it once a week, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing?
I don't know. I never think of good and bad. It just is what it is.
Okay.
Do you notice a difference, or?
Not really. I'm so busy for the past couple of weeks since this book has been coming out. I've been doing so many interviews and so much signing. I haven't really noticed.
Yeah.
What did you smoke it for? Did you smoke it for creativity or just the release?
Just to relax.
Plus, everybody
I've smoked
did.
dope for 50 years. Over that.
Well, it was a thing to do in a rock band, wasn't it?
Well, when I was a kid, I tell this story in the book. We were walking from my house, three kids. I was in 7th grade. We were walking about 3 blocks away to a friend of mine's house. We stopped at this library, had a park around. It was on a small block with a small library with a park around it. We were just sitting in the park, and then we were going to go to my friend's house. And this policeman came up and started asking for our ID. And my Levi's cuffs were rolled into a fashion that he found fascinating somehow. And he said, "You have to unroll your cuffs." I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, we're looking for marijuana." I said, "Marijuana? I'm a 13-year-old boy, And I made a mental note. If this guy's so against it, it's got to be good. And so that I started looking for it then.
So you didn't have any on you at that time?
No, I never even.
Did he search you?
Oh yeah, they searched it. We gave what ID we had, a library card. He's 13-year-old boys. Come on, it was weird.
Yeah. You tried it and liked it.
It was good. When I finally found it, I think I was 17 when I finally found it. And it was good. I liked it.
You have such an amazing history that you talk about in your book, and there's so many different aspects that I want to, cover, things that I found out that I didn't know about World War II history that I found in your book. And it was just like, we're going to jump all over the place in different things.
Cool.
But the Association was a band that was a little bit different than the Beatles and the Stones. You almost had like an Ivy League presence in a way.
That's what people thought it was because of the suits. But we were just as wild. We were wilder than anybody else. We just dressed well.
But you dressed well and you looked the part. But, your first big hit single, which actually was by a mistake, right? Because it was the flip side.
It was actually the B-side.
Yeah.
So we flipped it over and Along Comes Mary became a hit. About half the stations in the country wouldn't play the song because they thought it might be about weed. It was still a hit. We had given ourselves 2 years to have a top 40. So we were happy as glad.
It made it.
Yeah.
And then it was just perfect for the times because it caused that creation of like, well, is it about marijuana? Is it about Mother Mary? What is it about? And then also the lyrics on that. Oh my God.
It's a great piece of music. I mean, our bass player, our lead guitarist, Jules, played bass on the demo. And that night he brought it back to the group. 4 of us lived in a group house. 2 of us lived with our ladies. Jules said, "Listen to this tune." He put an acetate on the record player. And me and Jim were the only one there. And we went, holy moly, what a song. We started writing down what we thought were the lyrics. They weren't, of course, but we later got the lyrics. So when the guys arrived, we put on the record again. And everybody just freaked out, went, what a song. It's the only tune we never voted on. Everything was voted on.
Wow.
That tune was never voted on. Everyone just loved it. And I always maintain that if Cherish had been our first release, it would have been a hit. But I don't think Mary, they would have liked Mary as a second tune.
Right. And Cherish, I think, would have classified you as a different,
exactly,
kind of band.
Exactly.
You still had the cool, hip
we were
kind
every
of
kind of band. We were not one kind of band.
Yeah.
We didn't do one kind of music ever. I mean, people that classified us as one thing is we're just doing their classification. It had nothing to do with reality.
Yeah. But it just lyrically, everything about that song was just so good.
one of a kind tune.
And then what you folks did is that you broke it down. And how many part harmonies did you have?
We had 6 guys. Some things are 6-part harmonies. Wow. Sometimes it's just 3-part with 2 guys, and we'll move to 4. We'll move to move around. Depends on what the tune requires.
Yeah.
We just did tune for the tune. That tune was we arranged it. We set the circle in Brian's backyard. With one guitar.
Now, was that the song? I'm trying to remember. There was one song where you were very forward thinking about royalties, that you got something off.
The way our royalties were split up was the writer gets his, then half the publishing goes to the other guys.
Which is smart. Nobody was really doing that.
No one was doing it. They kept saying, well, do this, do that, do that. We say, we have no incentive, and so they gave us incentive.
Yeah, but that's great. But you were instrumental in getting them to do that, weren't you?
Well, mostly Ted and some of the other guys. I really wasn't aware of it. I really didn't give a rat's ass.
But aren't you glad that they did?
Oh, yes. I'm very glad. But at the time,
nobody's
I was
thinking
not
about
aware
that.
of it, and I didn't care.
Yeah.
Back then, you're I don't want to say the ignorance.
It's just art.
Right.
You're doing
and you're
art.
enjoying what you're doing, and you're loving it, and that's what you're there for. But you don't think long term, like, I'm going to have to pay for a house and a family or something down the line.
No.
Yeah.
I knew Cherish was a hit.
Yeah.
Because after shows, the 2 things that people would say mostly are, when are you going to record Cherish as a single? And when are you going to do a live album?
So you were playing Cherish live before you recorded it?
Yeah. Oh, for a year and a half. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were doing it. All Comes Mary in the show. We were doing all those, those tunes.
I think looking back at that time in Los Angeles at that time, it was really kind of like a Renaissance area.
I'll tell you, we had a huge following. We had a fan club that was like 10,000 people before we ever had a record.
The AAA.
Yeah. We had, the stage would be covered in flowers when we'd come in.
Wow.
Because everyone would come. A lot of people would bring flowers, and they just put them on stage.
That's beautiful. I mean,
yeah,
really.
we loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
But you met so many creative people at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
It was like,
even Tannen, who wrote Mary, I knew Tannen. I was a light and sound man at the Ice House from 19, I was 19 years old. I turned 21 there. So when I first met Tannen, he was playing bass behind Mason. He was a wonderful young man, real good musician. And really interesting guy. And then later he wrote this tune.
But it was at that time, it was like, the comedy clubs at the Ice House, you like Stiller and Mirror.
Well, it was not a
Pat
comedy
Paulson.
club then. We had Pat actually quit show business shortly before the Smothers got him. And he was just tired of trying to make it. And Bob Stain took him aside and said, look, Pat, you're the only guy around still doing deadpan. You're the only one. So Pat stuck with it. About 4 months later, the Smothers started their show and added Pat. So it was perfect.
That worked out great.
Yeah. And Pat was a very good, very close friend of mine.
And he did publicity stunts for you guys?
Oh, yeah. He did. Bob Stain had this thing called cranial painting, which he had done in San Diego, which he had. Pat grew a beard. He hung from a tripod. And put paint on his face and painted.
He hung upside down, right?
Did cranial paintings.
Oh my God!
So where's the canvas? Is the canvas on the ground?
On the floor.
Oh
I actually had one for years. His son now has it. I had it for years.
That would be very interesting.
The only one there was. I had it for 55 years. I had it a lot of years. Had it framed.
Oh, that's great.
We did. Pat Paulson's last concert was with us.
What did that consist of?
He did a show. And we did a show.
He was doing the comedy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was at Ice House?
Oh, no. This was at, God, it was up in north of here, about 100 miles. I can't remember what
Santa
city.
Barbara or something?
No, inland.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember what it was.
Somewhere exciting.
It's in the book, but I don't remember.
Okay.
Now.
That makes 3 of us.
Yeah.
Go, kids, get the book to find out where the Pat Paulson Association show was.
Find out myself. When I did, I have to read the book.
Well, how long ago did you write the book? And a couple of years ago?
I've been working on it for several years.
Yeah, I would think so.
A lot of it took a lot of research.
Oh, you can
tell. A lot of my memories were in the wrong order.
And it was kind of written that way.
Yeah, well.
But it comes together, which is nice. But you had a lot of quotes in the book, and you had tons of quotes, which I'm like...
A lot of friends helped me with it.
Yeah.
Danny Hutton. We were the whole band was big Danny Hutton fans long before Three Dog Night. He had a couple of hits. Funny How Love Could Be, and Roses of Rainbows Are You. Great stuff. Great production. We were just big fans of his music.
And you were playing at the Troubadour and the Hoot Nights, and you were doing stuff there. But it was just like the amount of talent that came through that door at that particular time.
It was a great time. We played with everybody. I put a list in the back of the book of people, not even people we've done TV shows with, just people we've played with live who've been on the same bill.
We're going to get into a lot of those because you saw...
Incredible list. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
When I finally saw the list laid out, I mean, we worked with everybody from B.B. King. We did the Chicago Fest. They had 3 stages. We were on one, the Beach Boys were on another, and Sinatra was on another.
Oh, my God.
All of them jammed.
Is that at
all of them completely full?
Chicago, Lake Chicago, right around there?
Chicago, yeah. It was the best festival.
Oh, yeah.
The best
Chicago Fest.
Music festival there ever was Chicago
Fest. I don't know, because you went to Monterey Pop Festival.
Well, this lasted longer than 3 days, and it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, they usually went on, I think, for like 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I saw one year they had Iron Maiden and Arnold Guthrie.
Monterey was 3 days. It was great. It was great for us because we were on the road.
But everyone that played there was known. Even Ravi Shankar.
Yeah.
But still not known to that capacity.
Not at that time, but they all went on and all have a legacy.
Ravi Shankar, I had heard at a party when I was 17 or 18, around dawn, someone put on this morning raga. And I had never heard anything like this before. I was just stunned. I went out that day and bought 2 albums.
Wow.
2 Ravi Shankar albums. And it blew my mind that he was at the Monterey Festival. I mean, I thought was just phenomenal.
And you saw everybody there at the festival?
Oh, yeah, everybody.
You guys were the first on stage.
We were first on stage, and this was the rare thing. Usually, when we were on the road, we'd get off stage and we'd pack up and sometimes we'd start traveling right after the show.
Yeah.
With this show, we opened the show, and then we stayed there for all 3 days.
Hell yeah.
And all 3 nights.
My God.
A phenomenal thing for us.
I mean, you saw Hendrix there, right?
I met Hendrix in the food line. I had no idea.
Where, like a food truck?
No. When they had the line for the meals.
Like backstage?
Backstage. We were in line to have lunch or dinner, and he was in line with me. And we introduced each other and talked.
Started talking.
I had no idea what the guy did. And then when I saw him, I was in the orchestra pit, about 20 feet away from him. And it just blew my mind. And the fact that it was just 3 guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was incredible.
That was the one where he lit the guitar on fire too. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the phenomenal photos of Monterey.
Oh my God, yes.
But it was just like anybody was there. Janis Joplin.
Oh yeah, Janis was wonderful. She was wonderful.
Mamas and the Papas.
The Who.
The
Who, definitely. And that's where they were like destroying things. And then,
well, we had done several shows with a bunch of shows where they opened our show.
They opened for the association.
I remember Terry, this is in the book, we were doing the first gig with them, and it was outdoors. I think it was at a county fair. We were sitting at the end of the bleachers. And so we watched them do their ending. And we loved them. We loved because they were, besides the destruction, we didn't know about that. We just knew their music, which was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so we saw them do the ending of the show, and Terry said, how the hell are we going to follow that? I said, easy. We do what we do.
Yeah.
They do what they do. We followed them. We got a standing ovation, and they opened many of our shows, and we got standing ovations on almost every show we ever did.
Were you kind of surprised with the trajectory of their band and how they're still doing stuff these days?
No, really. They were a tremendous band. I've never seen anyone dance like Townsend. No one moved like Townsend. No one played guitar like Townsend.
No.
No one wrote like Townsend.
And nobody played drums like Keith, and nobody played bass like Entwistle.
Incredible. Yeah,
the whole Roger
band.
Daltrey. Yeah.
Did you ever think at any point, we need to get crazier, we need crazy guitar solos, we need to change, and we need to get into, I don't know, a harder rock or anything like The Who and some of these other bands were doing? Or were you guys completely satisfied with the way you were?
I never thought about it.
No?
No. We just did what we did. No one did anything like what we did. The close
right.
The Beach Boys were very vocal, but they did their whole approach was totally different.
Right.
And it was culturally, socially, politically, everything was changing at that time because it was like, okay, the pill happened, so there and drugs, and then the
Vietnam
War and all that kind of stuff. So everything, you guys were kind of directing the way that society was going with music and changes, and
probably so. I mean, we definitely reflected that in our music, but we weren't really there for cultural change. We were there to do music.
But you were part of it. Yeah.
I mean, some of that stuff definitely helped to change the culture, but we weren't consciously doing that. We were just mostly doing music.
Yeah, having fun. One of the bands that you were in before you became the Association, I think it was called The Men, or maybe even one before.
Oh, yes.
One before that, a lot of your gigging around was different places here in Southern California, including Disneyland.
Not with the Men, that was with the Association.
The Association,
we played every land at Disneyland before we ever had a record. They loved us because we did fabulous shows. We were really so good from the get-go. But we played every land at Disneyland. You
were playing grad nights, right? Was that part of it?
That was later.
That's where you're playing at like 2, 3, 4 in the morning?
Yeah, that was later. But up till then, we would play Tomorrowland, Adventureland.
We both worked for Disney. Disney bought ABC, so we have a lot of history with Disney. But I loved reading in the book the special places where you found a smoked pot.
Oh yeah, if we
tell us in case we were looking.
If we had ever been busted, that would have been the end of our career at Disneyland. But we used to smoke at the one of those.
The Skyway.
The Skyway. We have a little one toke thing. And also the Monsanto ride.
Yeah.
The one where
the Adventures into Inner Space.
Yes.
Was that the one that you had to walk up?
No, it's where you shrink in the microphone in the microscope.
You look up and there's an eye looking through a microscope at you.
And that was either the smoking ride or it was the makeout ride. And I have friends that actually used to hide in there behind a curtain, and they could watch the people that were going through.
Wow.
I think they did it more for their jollies, not to catch people.
Yeah. But Disneyland was great. I mean, we really did some great shows there. We had a lot of fun. It was a beautiful place to play.
Yeah.
Were the Everly Brothers a really big influence on your band?
I love it. Well, no more than the fact that we all loved them. I mean, I've been listening to the Everly Brothers since I was 12 years old.
Something about those harmonies.
They're just and great arrangements.
Yeah,
great arrangements. Great guitar. When the Beatles came out, I thought they sounded a little like the Everly Brothers with an extra harmony.
But there were a lot of things that, people talk about, like Bob Dylan and the Newport Folk Festival.
Oh, yeah.
And going electric. But you think that you might have seen one of the first performances of him doing electric.
Saw the Man after the show. He asked if he could.
And this is at the Troubadour, or?
I think it was. I wasn't in the band at the time. I think it was either at the Troubadour or one of the theaters they were playing. But anyway, he asked if he could jam. That was the first time he played electric guitar. So,
and that was like 2 years before, or a couple of years before, wasn't it?
60, probably 64. It's probably the same year.
Yeah.
I don't remember the number of years.
Everything's
a few years ago.
I just don't care. That's one of the things that was hard with the book. Valerie helped out a great deal because of her research. Really helped me because I remember things in certain orders, and sometimes that order was way off.
We noticed that in the book. Reading it, you know, it's like the tangent talk that we talked about earlier.
Oh
yeah. He's going back to that story,
but it comes around again. That's the nice thing. It's like, step out and still come back in.
Yeah.
There were so many opportunities at that particular time. You could have joined Frank Zappa's band.
Yeah, me and Terry had played with Frank Zappa when he was in his teens, and he asked Frank Zappa to come out and see us. He wanted to see what he thought. So he had Frank come out, and he saw the band. I didn't know this at the time, but he took Jules, our lead guitarist, aside. He said, "Will you and Russ be interested in joining?" He says, "I'm forming a band called the Mothers of Invention." He said, would you and Russ be interested in joining it? Jules said, we put a lot of time and work into this. And I think we're going to stick with this. Now, Jules didn't tell me about this till a month or two later, he said. But he was right.
Yeah.
We had put a lot of work into it.
What was Frank Zappa before he was with the Mothers of Invention? Was he still an artist?
Oh, yeah. He had been playing since he was a kid.
Wow.
Brilliant guitar, brilliant musician, good. And a sweet guy. Real nice guy.
I was lucky enough to meet him. He was at KBC Radio on the Michael Jackson show once, and I was lucky to meet him for about 60 seconds. And that was, I think he died a couple of years after that. But yeah, I mean, crazy creative. That
Genius
in that head. Like, I mean, he's got to have a 200 plus IQ or something. I mean, he's just beyond any of us.
Yeah.
Your first album, you guys didn't record any of the music? Is that correct? I thought musically...
Our lead guitarist played, Terry played the solo on Long Comes Mary. But we used...
a lot of studio musicians.
We used a group, they called them the Troops at the time.
And why? Why not have you guys...
Because it's faster and easier.
Are you guys taking a lot of time?
We never tried it. We never even tried it. We just our producers said, we'll use these studio guys, we'll do the leads, and we'll do the singing. We did question it, and it worked out fine. We only actually did one date that was actually in the studio. Usually our studio was a garage, and the booth was a bus, except for when the booth was upstairs in the bedroom, and the studio was downstairs in the kitchen and the dining room. Except we did 1 4-hour session at a studio on Sunset where we did the vocals to Barry, Cherish, Enter the Young, and one other tune I can't remember. But that's the only stuff we did in the studio. Other than that, it was in this guy's yard and at his house.
And what were you recording on?
2 4-tracks to make 1 8-track.
Wow. It had to be mixed.
Sync. It had to be synced.
How do they sync?
By ear.
Really?
They'd go.
And just get it up as perfect as the ear could hear.
It worked perfectly.
Wow.
But it was 2 4-tracks to make an 8-track. There's no 8-track in those days. But we knew we wanted to use 8 tracks, so we used 2 4s.
Congratulations.
Bless you, my child.
You also had a chance, I think, once to be Johnny Quest.
Oh, yeah. We were playing at the Ice House, and some guys from Hanna-Barbera asked if they could have a meeting with me. I assumed it was about the group, so I took Jules, our lead guitarist, because I had known Jules and Terry, I knew the longest, and our manager, Dean Fredericks, with me. And I came out, he came to Hollywood to the Hanna-Barbera studios, and they wanted me to be Johnny Quest.
Wow.
And I said, well, can I be Johnny Quest and still do this band? And they said, no. I said, well, I can't do it. I put too much time working on this band. You know, they offered me $600 a week, which was a lot in those days.
Yeah.
And,
but what were you going to be? Because Johnny Quest is a cartoon.
I was going to be a live Johnny Quest at personal appearances and albums.
And just like sign autographs and sing?
Yeah, and records.
Did he sing?
I don't think so. But
they were going to make him that way.
We were going to be singing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Johnny Quest.
Yeah, it was pretty weird.
That is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Earlier on in the book, you talk about going to school, and you talk about, I think Ray Bradbury was like a big, you were a big fan of his?
By the time I was out of junior high, I had probably read 900 or 1,000 books. I read everything Ray Bradbury wrote, everything, a lot of writers. I just read a book that I liked, and so I'd read everything they wrote. I remember I turned in a book report. I think it was Golden Apples of the Sun. My teacher said, we can't accept this. I said, why not? Well, she said, this isn't literature. It's not on the list. I said, have you read it? She said, no. Okay. So from that day on, you had to turn in 3 book reports every year. Junior high was 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. So I turned in the same 3. They didn't have a computer in those days. So I turned in the same 3 book reports all 3 years on 3 books I never read, while at the same time I read 900 or 1,000 books.
How were your grades on those book reports?
I think I did pretty well. I passed.
Did he ever, I know you had a solo career for a bit, so did he ever influence any of the music you wrote?
Not really. I just liked him. And I was surprised when I was a big movie fan too. And I saw Moby Dick.
Moby Dick.
Ray Bradbury, he wrote the screenplay for that movie.
I didn't know that.
I knew it only because I was a movie fan, and I also a Ray Bradbury fan, and saw it when I saw the film.
One of the most fascinating parts I have found in the book was kind of like at the beginning. You taught me something about World War II history that I didn't know. Your father was actually killed in action in World War II, right off the coast of the United States.
Right off the coast of Virginia. He was hit by a submarine. Yeah. 2 months before I was born.
Wow.
Off the coast of Virginia.
So I think international water, something like 90 miles. So
I don't think it was 90 miles.
Wow. So the German U-boats were there and just...
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize that either.
Yeah.
I was reading that and I got very confused because I'm
They were right there.
I mean, because the way that we're taught, it's just like it all started, from America,
It was right here. It was very close to coming ashore.
Wow.
Very close.
Wow.
The United States and England and the Axis powers saved the world.
Yeah. Oh, they
saved
did.
the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Because, I mean, if the German U-boats were like 90 miles off the coast and then hitting, there were something like 300 ships that were sunk.
Oh, yeah.
Right off the coast somewhere between North Carolina and Virginia.
Yeah.
My God.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. People just don't realize that it was that close.
I'm 3 times older than my father ever was.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
So it was his name Giguere?
His name was Russell Henry Giguere, just like mine.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm Russell Henry Giguere Jr. I'll tell you, if I had any idea that we were going to become famous, I probably would have used Russ Henry. It would have been much easier. Well, Jiggy is one of my nicknames.
Yeah, okay, Jiggy. Yeah.
All right.
Jiggy, Jigs.
Jigs.
Jigs was my father's nickname.
Yeah.
He was married to, my mother's name was Marguerite, so they used to call him Maggie and Jigs.
Maggie and Jigs, love it. Now, he was from like a New England area?
He was actually born in Flint, Michigan.
Oh, okay. Flint, Michigan.
Yeah.
Then they went to like New Hampshire.
Then he was in New Hampshire when he met my mom.
And then somehow you, after he passed, I guess your family...
My mother remarried about a year after that, and the guy's mother lived with us and she didn't like me and didn't like my mother. And so my mother told him, look, you got to live with your mother or live with me. You can't do both. He said, I can't make that decision. So she walked out.
Yeah.
She was pregnant with my sister and never asked him for a cent.
Yeah.
Wow.
Strong, independent woman.
Yeah.
So she came out here to San Diego?
Then later, after Judy was probably about 3, and she moved, her sister lived in San Diego. Millie said, there's no winter out here, and there are lots of men. So my mom came out.
Yeah, that's great. And you became Californian.
Yeah. I loved it.
But I found that fascinating, that the World War II connection and losing, much like Roger Waters. I mean, like his dad died before he was born.
Wow.
In the war. And if you ever have a chance to see the Wall movie that Roger Waters put out, documenting going to places where his father died.
Wow.
I mean, it's just really, really engaging.
I bet.
So tell us, you went to see the Doors.
I went to see the Doors. I just wanted to see some bands.
This is at the Whiskey?
At the Whiskey, yeah. Whiskey Go-Go. And the Doors came on, and he was just drunk as a skunk.
Jim?
Yeah, Jim. He could hardly stand up. So I just walked out. Within 6 months, I think they had a #1 hit.
God.
Yeah. My junior high principal, the junior high I got sent to.
You too got sent to a school?
Yeah, I got sent
Welcome
to a school.
to the club.
Hey, you weren't the only one. Was in Villa Park, Sarah Villa High School. And I used to always bring in the albums during art class and stuff like that. And my art teacher said, one day it's like, you need to go see the principal. And it's like, and it was like, oh shit, I'm in trouble again. Oh my God. And it turns out he was Corky Corson, Jim Morrison's father-in-law.
Wow.
She was from there and he was like a military man. And it was like, here he was, the principal. And it was like, wow, it's like, I love the Doors and, so influenced by him. And he said stuff like, he's a great guy until he starts drinking.
Yeah.
And then once Jim Morrison started drinking, it was like, just forget it.
Yeah, I know a few people who were friends with him and did the same thing.
Yeah. A lot of people at that time were the 27 Club, that you saw around. How do you think you got through it? You were so many of the young artists, like Morrison died at 27, Joplin died at 27, Hendrix. You didn't really go hard drugs, right?
No, we had a guy in the band who was a needler, and that's what killed him.
Yeah.
I think he was only 29, something when he died. Yeah, Brian Cole. He was our bass player. And I just am not a needler.
Yeah.
And I've done heroin by accident. And the only thing that was good about it is I learned what it was. The thing heroin provides is oblivion. And I do not require oblivion. But some people do.
Yeah, yeah.
Some people require it.
Yeah, or some people just want it because it's
want
safer than...
Yeah,
Yeah.
But not me.
That's scary.
Yeah,
How did you try it by accident?
I walked in a room. I was looking for a restroom at a party, looking for a bathroom. And I opened this door, and a bunch of guys were doing lines on a table, on a desk. They said, "You want a line?" I figured it was Coke.
Coke.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I said, "Sure." So I did a couple lines, walked out. I woke up in the garden. I'd probably come close to overdosing.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was pretty weird.
Well, at least you learned from it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank God that you didn't go that trip.
Yeah.
Another aspect of music at that particular time, it was a little bit later in your band. You had a member of the band join, and you got a lot of racist reactions if you were traveling.
Yeah, I was amazed because we didn't even, I honestly didn't think of, Larry was Oriental, but I didn't think of him as being anything but a good musician. So I remember we were at a party, and this guy looked over at Larry, and he says, "That China boy with you?"
Mm.
And I went, "Yeah, he's my partner. Why?" And the guy didn't say anything.
When was this?
On the road at a party.
Like in the 60s?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the 60s were pretty hairy. There was a time when 3 of us were armed.
Because it just...
a 32 automatic.
For that reason?
That was one of the reasons. It was just a scary time. This only lasted about 5 or 6 months. Some of the guys didn't even know we were carrying guns.
Wow.
Because we weren't carrying them to show them. We were carrying them to use them.
Yeah.
If anything went down, we were going to come out on top.
Yeah.
Where were the most racist places? I mean, because obviously, in the South, it was, anybody of color, but
mostly.
Where did you find that the racism existed?
Just here and there. It was just weird. It was usually pretty common. We'd confront it. It was, it certainly wasn't like the 50s, but it wasn't much different.
Yeah.
You'd think mid-60s.
California had all these Japanese internment camps, that you don't learn about in high school, and it's like it's like, what? Our country did that? Are you kidding?
I didn't know that. And I lived up in Northern California where they had them. And I'm like, I never knew that was there.
Yeah. It's just, things that they hide.
Pretty bizarre.
One of the songs that also became very big for you folks was Never My Love. And I was reading somewhere that was a very special song for Paul McCartney and Linda McCartney.
We were told that was their song.
Wow.
That was their song. We loved the song. Basically, Bones Howe, our producer at the time, always said, "It's a perfect shingling," which was the dance at the time. Basically, we did the tune as the Adrisi brothers wrote it. They even wrote the ba 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 ba, the vocal part in the middle. We just added parts to it. It was great. I'll tell you a secret that nobody knows. I don't even think this is in the book. I would arrive early to sessions, and I arrived early one time, and Bones was in the studio doing a splice. I said, "What are you doing?" He says, "Well, I'm doing a window splice." So, "What do you mean?" He said, "I'm cutting out the middle piano instrumental, Never My Love, cutting out the end one and switching them, putting the end one in the middle and the middle one at the end." No one else was there. It was just me and Bones in the room.
Wow.
That's how we hear it now.
That's how you hear it now. Which is interesting.
Yeah.
He called it a window splice. It was a huge splice. I mean, that's a big piece of tape.
Yeah.
I mean, the tape's about 3 inches wide, and cut something that as long as a solo out, pretty wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to go. I got to go back and listen to that one again just to see if I
It's a
can
great
hear
piece
it.
of music.
If you can mentally. Well, nowadays, I'm sure on our phone, we could take the 2 pieces out, flip them around, and hear the original.
But all those
But
things.
you don't want to. You want to.
No, of
You want to hear
course.
it as it's recorded.
So, Cherish.
Yeah.
Originally, it was almost a 4-minute song, right?
Well, it was 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Something we actually cut out the repeat at the end where it goes, "And I do cherish you, and I do," and we cut the repeat, sped it up ever so much, just a little bit, and it was still over 3 minutes. So we said, "Well, that's all we could do." So we lied and we wrote 2:59 on the record.
And that's because back then in radio.
Back then, if it was 3 minutes,
throw it out.
In the can.
Yeah.
No, they didn't even play it. So we wrote 259 on it and hope for the best.
Wow.
And
Was it ever released as the original version?
Well, now the original, now the one they play now, when you hear it played on the radio now, is the original version, the album version.
I think that's hilarious because you guys were offered. Also, you had the chance to do MacArthur Park.
Oh yeah,
the song MacArthur
We were
Park.
finishing this album, and Bones had him come in and play it for us. And we said, well, it's an interesting piece of material, nice piece of material, but it was like 17 minutes long, and Bones said it couldn't be cut. Jimmy Webb, we weren't talking to Jimmy Webb directly, we were talking to Bones in the studio. We said, well, can we do a shortened version of it? He said, no, it can't be cut. So anyway, we couldn't do it then. We never really turned it down. We just couldn't do it then because we were finishing this album, which had some hits on it. So we were finishing, I think it was our third album. And then we went on the road. We're on the road about 2 weeks. Oh, you can hear MacArthur Park on the radio done by, and it was a shortened version.
It was like 8 minutes, wasn't it? Seven and a half?
They had a shorter version. On one, they had it on two sides of the record, both sides of the record.
Sides. Oh my God!
But one side was like 7 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So much for it not be.
Yeah.
God, so much for that.
Wow.
And that got played on the radio, didn't it?
Oh
Yes.
yeah. I never hear it anymore.
No.
Yeah, it was one of the first that was like like over 7 minutes that would get played like that.
Yeah, got a lot.
There had to have been a shorter version, don't you think?
No.
Great song.
No, it's
That was
just
an
a tremendous
excellent song.
September 1967, your third album was in the top 10. Some of the other albums at that time, Beatles, Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah.
Monkees, Headquarters, Doors debut album.
Yep.
Airplane debut album, Flowers and the Rolling Stones. That's some pretty impressive company there.
We were impressed. We were thrilled. I'll tell you, as I said, if we had a number 38 hit, we would have been happy with that.
Yeah.
When I say top 40, I mean we were hoping to get a top 40 hit within 2 years. So within a year and a half, we had like a number 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So we were thrilled. And when our next record went to number 1, it was unbelievable for us. It was great.
It's like, I think that you put in the back how many, like the top 100 songs. I don't know if it's by BMI or ASCAP or whatever, Billboard, but you have
the most played songs of all time, and we have 3 of them. We have the second most played, I think 22 and 61.
Okay, so the number 1 most played. Well, the second most played, your number 1 would have been
Long Comes Mary?
No. Long Comes Mary is on
Cherish.
Never My Love is the second most played song of all time. The second most played song of all time.
So then the other one would be.
And Cherish is on that list, and so is
Windy.
Long Comes Mary makes it on the top 200.
Oh.
I have to tell you about Windy because I was a little kid. I think that was 67 that came out. Like so I was 8.
Cool.
And I remember I loved it. Like I would sit by my radio and wait. I would actually call and request it.
Cool.
But later I learned that was a waste of my frickin' time.
Yeah.
No, not in those days.
But I'm like, I can't let my parents hear this song because it's about this girl that's going down the street and she's stripping.
Yeah.
And it's like, who's stripping down the streets? It's Windy. And so all this time I'm like trying to hide it from my parents because if they hear this song, they're not going to let me listen to it or anything like that. And yet at 8 years, I'm on the cusp of, getting older and learning about women. And I just start in my head creating my scenario, my picture of this beautiful naked girl stripping down the street for everybody.
Yeah. Cool.
So I know.
Some iconic songs.
Yeah.
I think that was like Lady Godiva. Peter and Gordon, I think they had a hit.
Yeah, I remember that.
With Lady Godiva, and she was the one that would take off her, So you're probably getting kind of...
Yeah, I'm getting mixed up again.
Yeah.
Typical of me. Typical. In 66, I think you did a show up at the Fillmore, was it? And, And...
Oh, yeah.
The background projections.
Oh, the many background, there are everything projected. There were movies projected. The
lighting, the gel lights.
At least 8 projectors going at the same time.
But weren't you guys up there singing Cherish or something when King Kong? The movie King Kong played.
You're singing the chorus of Cherish, and King Kong is ripping a biplane out of the air. I thought it was great.
Oh, that's awesome.
That wasn't part of your show, right? Was that just the Fillmore people going crazy?
Doing their Fillmore thing. It was great. It was a lot of fun.
That's just so strange, but I love it.
Yeah, Yeah, it was great.
And you were headlining so many of those shows.
Oh, yeah, we headlined that show.
Sup with Camel. Who else?
Oh, yeah.
Quicksilver Messenger Service.
Yeah.
Grassroots. And you headlined that show, and that's the original poster there.
That's the original poster.
Oh, my God. That is just amazing. Because did you say that was like one of the first psychedelic posters?
It was the first one, actually. I read this in Smithsonian Magazine.
Oh, okay.
They had an article on it. So
that's the first psychedelic poster, and that was from the Fillmore.
Yeah.
So you got to know
Fillmore West, right?
Fillmore West. So you got to know
Bill Graham.
Bill Graham.
Oh yeah, he was a very nice man.
Wow.
Bill Graham used to distribute these posters on a motor scooter.
Oh wow.
I remember going in San Francisco. He had a shop, the Bill Graham's Rock Shop.
Cool.
And he used to have some of these posters.
Cool.
I think probably at that time in the 70s, they were still first edition.
Yeah.
Which I didn't unfortunately load up on, but boy.
Yeah.
Now it's Wolfgang's Vault.
Oh, okay.
I think
Yeah.
the group that bought and now
Cool.
have all those posters there. But
Yeah.
I love these posters.
Me too.
The artwork is just spectacular.
Yeah.
And that Monterey Pop Festival you have as an original as well.
Yeah, that's everyone who played the festival got one of those.
Wow.
I'm the only one I know that still has one.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Just so much history.
Yeah, it was a great show. It was great fun.
Your book, which we're talking about, Along Comes the Association, Beyond Folk Rock and Three-Piece Suits, Russ Giguere.
Way beyond.
Your foreword is by David Geffen. How did
David.
that come up?
Well, David was a friend of mine from the days. He was an agent for William Morris. And we first met him. We did a gig in New York. It was with Genesee. Our two road managers were arguing about, they had not said who's going to open the show and who's going to close the show. So we were both booked as headliners. So the two managers were arguing, and Geffen shows up. And he said, I'll tell you what, he says, why don't you guys end one show and you end the other?
So there were two shows that night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One in the afternoon and one in the evening. Everyone was amazed how easy he saw it.
My God, there wasn't an odd number of shows.
Yeah. So, anyway, so he signed us to
William Morris.
We just became pals. He's a wonderful guy. He's a great guy.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very, very nice guy. Very likable gentleman. I was amazed that he did the forward.
Wasn't there something about you being signed and somebody trying to get you out of William Morris in New York?
Yeah. We were signed to a different agency that actually threatened us. And
How do they threaten you?
through Pat Colecchio, our manager. And Pat had a meeting with him, I think, at an ice cream shop at Beverly Hills Hotel. And Pat made a phone call to a friend of his back east who had some connections and hung up the phone and went back to the table where these guys were sitting with this agency. The phone rang. Pat went and answered the phone and said, "It's for you." And gave it to the guy, and the guy answered the phone, hung up the phone, and said, "Well, nice talking to you." And they left. Pat had called an old friend of his who had some connections.
Wow. But they were threatening that if you didn't sign, you might not be singing again, correct?
That's what they inferred.
Yeah.
Wow.
But anyway, it worked out.
Well, obviously, you're still here.
That's a great. I love that. The thing that's great about that story, the reason we have that story is because Terry Kirkman was there.
God.
And he told me, so he told us the story,
amazing.
so it's in the book.
What about the clubs at the time? I mean, Sunset Boulevard was just like this.
Well, I worked at the Ice House.
Yeah.
6 nights a week.
Mondays were your only nights off.
Yeah.
And once a month,
That's
at
the Hoot?
Monday, I'd do the Hoot at the Troop.
Yeah.
So I did 24 Hoots at the Troop. I was scared to death to perform live, to stand up with a guitar and perform.
But you did it.
So I knew what I wanted to do. So the only way to get over it
Just do it.
is do it. So
Yeah.
I did 24 dates, 24 Hoots at the Troubadour, and 24 Hoots at the Ice House.
Wow.
And got over it. Until Doug Weston pulled me aside and said, "Russ, you're ready to go professional."
That's pretty neat.
That meant a great deal to me.
No.
Yeah.
I had met him through Bob Stain early on.
So Bob was Ice House. Doug was at the
The
Troubadour.
Troubadour, yeah.
And were they pals?
Oh, yeah. But Doug pulled me aside, said, "Russ, you're professional now."
The guy kind of knew talent, too.
It was great.
You know,
What?
the guy
Elton
kind
John.
of knew talent.
Oh, yeah. The
Yeah.
guy, yeah. I mean, it meant a great deal.
Yeah. James
Yeah,
Look at
Taylor.
all those,
Yeah.
that list that started
the
there.
book. Yeah.
Yeah. Just amazing.
Yeah.
That's great stuff.
What about TV? You did a lot of performances on TV.
Yeah.
Is there one that sticks
Well,
out
it
of
was fun. I'll tell you, it was
Ed
funny.
Sullivan?
Andy Williams wanted listened to our first album and wanted to do changes along the tunes. And he said, you mind if we
with
do?
you?
Yeah. So we did it. Instead of Jules singing lead, he sang lead, we sang the backgrounds. That was sort of great.
I wonder if that's on YouTube. That'd be great to see.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. So he did a good job of it. It's a good tune. And so it was a great guy. A limousine would pull up to the stage door. He'd get out. They'd hand him a clipboard that had the names of what was going on.
The acts for that night?
And about 10 minutes later, he'd be on stage introducing the first act.
So no rehearsal for Ed. He just show up. He didn't even know who they were?
He probably knew ahead of time, but he was told again. I think we did that show 3 times.
Who were some of the other guests on the shows that you did with him?
I can't believe that. We were on the road. We came in, did the show.
Oh, it made out. No.
Did you always play live? Or were there some...
quite often it was lip sync. It just depends on different shows do different stuff. Some shows
they just play the record, right?
Yeah, some of them they play the record and you just lip sync. Some of them you play live and lip sync. Some you sing live and play to a track.
So you had at that time your manager has got these different tracks and he's basically giving like here's an instrumental track they're going to sing live.
Whatever they needed. Each show had their own thing. So he just adapted to the show.
What was touring like back in the 60s and the 70s? I mean, was it buses and airplanes?
Yeah, it was mostly for us. We mostly toured. We used 2 station wagons.
Were you driving?
Yeah.
You had to do all the work. There weren't any roadies.
We had 2 roadies. We had a sound and light man who took care of the equipment and a road manager and the 6 of us.
But all you had were your guitars and what? Drum set?
Amplifiers, drum set, and our sound system.
And cheers.
And not all this equipment that's carried around these days.
We had all the equipment we needed.
Yeah.
We had our amps, our guitars, our sound system, our suits.
And how many shirts?
7.
For each day.
Oh, yeah.
1 suit and 7 shirts.
Yeah.
That's great stuff.
Wow.
You're not with the association anymore, but you still have a lot to do with them.
Well, I still run the band.
You're still associated.
Associate of the association?
I actually run the band and own it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to be down at Pacific Amphitheater this summer?
I'll probably go down and see them. If they play locally, I almost always go and see them.
It's the Happy Together tour.
Happy Together tour they're on.
Yeah. I booked that tour for them.
Wow.
I signed all the contracts.
Oh, my gosh.
I signed all the checks.
Nice.
That's awesome. You talked earlier about you weren't interested about songwriting and getting the credits and stuff like that, but you do have a business sense. And
well, I know what 1 and 1 is 2.
Yeah.
That's basically the business sense you got to have. You got to know what it takes to do it.
Yeah.
You can't take anything lower or else it's not going to make it.
But it's, you're talking higher amounts than 1 + 1 equal 2. But then
a slow year for us is 35 dates.
Yeah.
That's a slow year for us.
Wow. Okay.
This year we'll probably do 60 dates with the Happy Together tour and probably 15 or 20 dates besides that. So we'll do almost 80 dates this year.
Yeah. What was your favorite venue to sing at?
I tell you, my favorite venue I loved is the Chicago Fest. Was just a great festival. They had more kinds of music.
Yeah.
And great stages, great sound systems. And it lasted for like a week. And it was incredible. They had everything from mariachi to blues, everything. It was great. I liked all the shows we did. I used to grade the shows from 1 to 10. And most of the shows were 10. Occasionally it was 11 or 12.
Wow.
So I was real happy with
I
was real happy with what we were doing. I had dreamt of being on the road for many years. So our manager said one time, everyone asks for more money and to be on the road less, except you, Russ.
Get me out there.
It's because I just always wanted to do that. I always wanted to do that.
Yeah. Road dogging. That's awesome stuff.
Yeah.
And you saw the first ever performance of Buffalo Springfield. I got to say, I'm
it was
so
great.
jealous.
They've been together a week.
Oh, my God.
And there was at a Troubadour Hoot, and they were just so good.
Yeah.
So right from the top. They were just outstanding. I saw the MFQ's first set, the Modern Folk Quartet. They did their first tune, and you could see the whole audience sit up.
Oh, my God.
They were just a great act. Never had a hit, but live act, just one of the greatest quartets there ever was.
You still play guitar?
A little bit, now and again.
What did you play back in the day? What kind of guitar?
Rhythm guitar.
Okay, what kind of guitar did?
At first, an Epiphone, but then later I went to Fender.
Okay.
I played Fenders for years.
Tell us about Pete Townsend and the speaker story. I never really knew this story, but
Well, we found out he had 4 speakers piled up. Only one was live. Only one had speakers in it. The others just had speaker
we're
cloth.
just like a shell.
Just speaker cabinet with speaker cloth on it. So when he shoved his guitar in to a speaker, there was no speaker underneath the cloth. It was just speaker cloth. They had rolls of speaker cloth. So after the set, they just
Unroll it and set it up again.
Put another.
And then you said something about the guitars too, they would switch out guitars.
They'd buy playable guitars that were good enough to play, but not expensive.
Like go to a
guitars.
pawn shop or something?
Pawn shop. And that's what he used. Rather than destroying one, it was really
of his good ones.
Yeah. Yeah. We learned from playing with them,
Sorry to burst the bubble, kids, but there's another.
Well, I think
it's showmanship.
I think it's called showbiz.
Yeah.
I liked it. I didn't care that it was only one speaker working. I thought it was great showmanship. I loved it.
Absolutely. They were well, they are incredible.
Yeah, their music, even without the destruction ending, their music is just phenomenal. Always has been.
Yeah.
Always has been. Their music stands out long before the other stuff started happening. I knew them for their music.
Yeah. Who was the band that impressed you the most that you saw over all these years?
Wow. Three Dog Night was pretty good.
Yeah.
Three Dog Night was phenomenally good.
Yeah. And you still keep in contact with...
I keep in contact with Danny. I know Danny very well.
And you also had a chance, I think, to do one that Three Dog Night made a big hit?
Yeah.
You had a chance to do that in Aquarius?
Yeah. We turned it out a lot of... I tell you, we turned out a lot of tunes.
Yeah. But you made up pretty good with a lot of great songs.
We did very well.
Yeah.
But the fact that the band is still working, that music still stands.
Exactly.
And they sound great. I think I saw them. Yeah. I think they toured last year on Happy Together, didn't they?
They started doing Requiem for the Masses again a couple of years ago. They added it to their set. I tell you, I heard them do it at a club about a year ago. Oh man, it was gorgeous. It was just perfect. It's perfect.
Got those harmonies down.
Yeah.
What do you think about new music?
Well, I'll tell you, even in the old days, most rock and roll I don't like. I don't like most pop music. I like about this much of this much.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed. I like this much of this much. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you listen to?
Django Reinhardt.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Guitar.
Did you see the movie?
What movie?
Django.
There's
No.
No, not that Django. I saw it at the International Film Festival at Palm Springs 2 years ago, and it's from... I don't remember what country made it, but it was really
great,
amazing.
I've never seen a film on it. I love his playing though.
Yeah, and it's just a story. It's not a documentary.
No one has ever come close to Django.
Wow,
this guy's really
he's the best guitarist that ever walked the earth, bar none. I saw an interview with Willie Nelson, and they asked Willie in the interview. They said, "Who do you think is the greatest guitarist there ever was?" And he didn't hesitate. He said, "Without question, Django Reinhardt."
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even think about it.
We have what we call now the bonus round. Now, this is like, it's the speed round. It's the heavy-duty questions. Okay. It's for a prize. So, if you don't answer them, you might not get the prize.
Good.
Like I tell most of our guests, we have no way to verify what you're saying is true anyway, so you can make it up.
Cool.
What was your very first concert you went to?
Actually, it was one of 3. There's 3 concerts I went to. And I can't remember which one was first. Sabicas.
I don't know Sabicas.
He's a flamenco guitarist.
Wow. Okay.
Ray Charles.
Wow.
And Josh White. So I don't know which one was first. Well, one of those 3.
Pretty cool.
Who would you want to meet that you've never met?
I always loved Ray Charles, but I always loved what's the Queen of Soul?
Aretha Franklin.
Aretha Franklin.
I always wanted to play with Aretha. We never played with her.
Do you get to meet the Beatles at all? Any of the Beatles?
I think I met John Lennon, I think.
You met John Lennon?
I think.
Wow.
I mean, it was so many years ago. Yeah. It was so fast.
Yeah. Quick, how do you doing?
Yeah.
I remember going to a meet and greet with the B-52s one time, and it literally, the 4 of them stood up, and you went and you shook hands. Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? And that was it.
Yeah.
What was your worst touring experience?
One time we arrived in Chicago, we were going to play the Opera House, and the equipment didn't arrive. So we got they contacted a guy who later in the 80s became our road manager. This was the days before rent places. There's some rent equipment. And so Marty Nicosia was the guy they got a hold of. He said, "Oh, yeah, I'll get everything." And he got guitars, amplifiers.
Like within a day's notice? Hours
I think
notice?
I think it was a day. I think we were working the next day.
Well, who was driving the station wagon that day?
That day we were flying in.
Oh.
We didn't do the station wagons all the time. Station wagon, we usually fly to a place, and then every once in a while they'd pick us up in limousines. But given our choice, we didn't drive limousines because it would take too much notice of them.
Yeah. Oh, good point.
We always drove the station wagons because no one ever noticed it.
Incognito.
You just come and go. Yeah.
What is your coolest piece of memorabilia?
God.
And can we have it?
Yeah, can we have it? I don't know. I like all the
that
stuff.
Monterey Pop poster that's pretty amazing.
I like my Fillmore poster. I got stuff from our albums.
Yeah.
I like it all, quite honestly.
All right. Well, congratulations. You win.
Thanks.
Now, this is going to take some explaining, but I'll get to it.
Okay. Good.
Do you know who Forrest Ackerman is?
Yes.
Okay. He used to live up in this area.
Yes.
Okay. So this is a book called The Cosmic Report Card, Earth.
Cool.
Okay. But on the inside is not only a caricature.
Cool.
But a signed picture from Ray Bradbury.
Cool.
Wow.
So there's your Ray Bradbury autograph and picture. And Forrest Ackerman signed it.
Oh, yeah.
And you can read it in about 7 seconds. There, you're done.
Oh, cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's it. So congratulations.
I was surprised they didn't make his house into a museum.
A museum. Yeah, if anybody doesn't know who Forrest Ackerman is.
Phenomenal collection.
Google Forrest Ackerman and look at the amazing collection that he used to have.
Very cool.
So anyway, there you go.
Cool,
congratulations.
Well, this is excellent.
So you can tear up the book, frame the picture if you like.
No, I'll save it. Are you kidding?
So
well,
Russ,
thank you, my son.
Thank you very much for your time. This has been
my pleasure. I'm
incredible.
Glad you came up.
Yeah, absolutely. And the book again.
Along comes the association. Along comes Mary. So along comes the association.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool.
Russ Giguere.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you. The fact that he got to stand in line and eat lunch with Jimi Hendrix, I mean, is that like totally cool?
I mean, think of all the people that Frank Zappa invites you to join Mothers of Invention. I mean, that's crazy. The Who, hang out with the Who.
Hang out? Like the Who opened for them for how many times?
God, amazing. And that he was at the original Monterey Pop Festival and still has the original poster.
The number one. Yeah.
Amazing.
Special thanks today to Russ Giguere for inviting us into his home, and super special thanks to Elliot Kendall for setting up the interview. Elliot is with Film and Music Promotion.
Elliot
Kendall!
If you would like to purchase an autographed copy of Russ's new book, Along Comes the Association, go to booksoup.com or call them to make sure they have signed copies available. Otherwise, you can order through Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
And check out the association as they are part of the Happy Together tour this summer. I know in Southern California, they will be at the Pacific Amphitheater.
As is scheduled right now.
Well, yes.
You know, so we'll have to...
Things could go for a while, but we're thinking positive.
Thinking positive. Calm. Center yourself. You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Except for CW. He's beyond help.
Thank you.
Every episode we create, or shall I say CW creates, show notes on our guests and about the show. Go check them out on our website. They will have much more insight into many of the discussions in each episode.
Please follow us and like us on Facebook. Most everything we talk about can be found out on our website, so go check it out, www.rockandrollconfessional.rocks, and make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Reach any last-minute inspirational notes from your head.
Stay centered.
Stay centered?
Stay centered, stay focused. We're going to get through this okay. All right? Just remember that. And we have Facebook, which is a great thing that we can, CW and I are on that a bit. And, if you're having a tough time, we'll try and help you through it, because that's one thing that I miss, from all the times and all the things that have happened in my lifetime. Most of the time I got to be on the air to express how I felt or to find some, words of comfort for people. And I can't do that right now. So, I'll be more than happy to help anybody on Facebook.
So maybe you'll post something inspirational on our page. How's that? How's that for a project? Anyway, everybody have a great, safe day, week, 2 weeks, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Calm is a superpower.
Okay, bye.